and I have heard you before, so I know that there is at least one spirit here.
Is there someone down there watching us?
I'd just like to speak to any of the soldiers that may still be down here, carrying out their duties.
It's moved. It's moving.
Its arm just moved up.
It's moving, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Poison. Manufactured record. Yes, sir. Go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here we go. It's like a light is in my face, but I can't fall for you. I close my eyes and drift away. I've overdosed on you. Then you wake up dead one day.
The Grain Fort was a former artillery fort on the Isle of Grain. It was constructed in the 1860s to defend the River Medway and the River Thames during a period of tension with France. The fort's location enabled its guns to support the nearby Grain Tower. Construction of the Grain Tower began in 1848, but difficulties were soon encountered in laying the foundations, and construction paused until 1853 due to the harsh conditions. It was completed on the 17th of November 1855. Rapid improvements to the artillery technology in the mid-19th century meant that the tower was effectively obsolete as soon as it had been completed. A proposal to turn it into a casemate fort was dropped for being too expensive. By the end of the 19th century, the tower had gained a new significance as a defence against raids by fast torpedo boats. It was used in both the First and Second World Wars, when its fabric was substantially altered to support its new quick-firing guns. It was decommissioned in 1956 and remains derelict today. The Grain Fort provided barrack accommodation for the garrison, who operated 13 25-ton RML guns. The fort continued to operate during the First and Second World Wars, and in 1956 it was also decommissioned, whereupon the surface buildings were all demolished. Above ground, some of the foundations can still be seen, but underground, the tunnels and other structures are still in place. A short distance away from the fort sits a German U-boat from the First World War. It was discovered after a storm that had reshaped the mudflats of the river. After the First World War, many German U-boats were brought up the Thames estuary to be dismantled. This particular U-boat is a UB-122 and was captained by Alexander Magnus. It was being towed up the River Medway to Hayling, where its diesel engines were removed at a local cement works. It was being taken back down the river towards the Thames estuary to be further dismantled when its tow broke and it was swept ashore, coming to rest in Humblebee Creek near to the Isle of Grain, where it still remains to this day. When it was launched in 1918, the UB-122 was one of the most advanced submarines of its time. It was a Type B-3 coastal patrol submarine. It would have been outfitted with 10 torpedoes and a crew of 34. During the war, the German submarines operated in groups known as wolf packs and were very efficient, almost bringing the UK to its knees in 1917. There have always been reports of encounters with the spirits of soldiers that once worked here. Visitors to the location have heard banging, footsteps, shadow figures have seen moving within the darkness of the tunnels. But in recent years, devil worshippers have been using what was once the magazine room to carry out dark rituals. Many years ago, Jason, a former investigator of the team, took full spectrum photos from inside the main magazine room, and, on review, he had captured what seemed to be a dark entity standing in the corner, which we can only presume was brought through during one of the dark rituals.
Can you go back through them again, Joe? Can we have a look at them?
Let me try and get it up. Right, that's my first picture. Yeah.
Okay.
Second. Now, what I'm saying is, you can say that's dust, but if that's dust, how can that dust
It's too damp in here.
disappear?
That looks like someone leaning against the fucking wall, doesn't it? Almost.
Right? If that's dust, no way that dust can disappear into that photo. I've kept so still.
Even the stones on the floor, here, they're only slightly adrift from each other.
Yeah,
But that is there. That's something definitely there.
I noticed that straight away.
We turn the photos into black and white so the difference can be seen. The change is in the right-hand corner. This first photo looks normal, but in the second photo, something has changed. We invert the second photo, and there is clearly a figure of an entity standing in the corner. Only recently, this article reported by a local newspaper confirms that something dark is now inside the tunnels, where a gentleman was taking photos and he came face to face with an entity which was in the magazine room. Okay, so we've just entered the Grain Fault tunnels, and we're going to make our way through, check the whole area, make sure no one else is here, and then set up our equipment. So we're going to have a little walk through, down through the tunnels, and then make our way to the main magazine room. Yeah, so there's a bit of a big drop there. So there's a makeshift couple of planks of wood. So, okay. This area last time, that's where we were hearing lots of movement and banging. In fact, I remember there was footsteps down the end there. So that's one place that we'll be going to later on. Again, down the end of this tunnel here, there was, we heard voices. So again, at some point we will be making our way down to the end there. So through this way should be the main magazine room. So this is the main magazine room. Over there in that corner, that's where we caught a picture of a shadowy type, humanoid creature type thing. Down here on the floor was where the pentagram was, and that's where our friend Martin started to draw a cross over the pentagram, and a disembodied voice said, "Cross, don't understand." Since then, there's been lots of reports to do with this shadowy figure. One recently in one of the local newspapers, there was an article that got pulled at the last minute because the council didn't want to attract attention to the place. Otherwise, it'd be everyone coming down here. So it was a report of a guy that was in here taking photographs by himself. As he got to the doorway, his torch went out, and as he turned and looked, there was something standing on top of that mound in the middle of the room, which he did describe as humanoid, but it looked more like some sort of creature. So he basically legged it. He ran for his life because he thought he was going to be attacked or killed. But on there, that's where it was. So, okay, we're going to start setting up and start the investigation here at the Grainfall Tunnels. After securing the area, we set up our equipment and cover the tunnel system with our static night vision cams. So first of all, I'd like to speak to any of the soldiers that are still here within the tunnels. Is it possible you could come down here and join us, please? We receive our first EVP within seconds, a voice asking, "Who is this?" That are still here within the tunnels. Is it possible you could come down here and join us, please? That are still here within the tunnels. Is it possible you could come down here and join us, please? If you're here now watching us, and you're down there, can you come walking down towards us? Now, I know that you are here because this is the exact spot that I was standing on our first investigation, and I could hear you following us around, and you were trying to speak to us. So if you can, come walking down the tunnel and come and join us.
I am hearing slight noises from back there in the distance, like shifting around. But, I don't know. Sort of back towards where that magazine room is.
So there seems to be some type of movement back down towards the main magazine room, which is right back down there to the end of the tunnel and then left, so it's quite far away. Is there someone down there? Is there someone down there watching us? Who are you, please? Up there, right across our IR light at the bottom, it just went out completely. Something black moved across it. Moved from the right to the left. Something was standing up there and it's moved. It completely blocked it out, completely went black. That'll be on camera. That was right in front of our camera. Something moves in front of our static cam, and on review, no shape can be seen, but the whole screen seems to just go black. We now make our way to another part of the fort, known as the Lightning Passage. We also place several motion detector balls along the tunnel to use for communication with any spirits that would like to make themselves known.
My name's Mark. Been down here before, only one time before, but the other guys have been down a few times. I'd just like to speak to any of the soldiers that may still be down here, carrying out their duties. Oh. Are you stood in between us? If so, could you tell me your name, please? Could you make the ball go off again? This place would have been on high alert as it's on the coast. Did you enjoy working here? If there is anybody watching us, could you maybe make a noise for us? Just so we know you're here.
Movement behind me.
Who's up there? Come on down here. Come down here to me.
It was banging.
Can you hear that back there?
What's that, Jeff?
What's that, mate?
There's noise down from your end.
Like a scraping noise.
I didn't hear anything from where I was.
Weird. Are you in between me and Phil, or in between Jeff and Phil? What's going on?
I was shoved by. Someone come by me, Phil. Mark?
Yeah.
Hang on. Who's just come past Jeff and set the cat ball off? Who is it?
Something pushes past me and I fall into the wall. At the same time, a motion detector ball activates as it picks up the movement. With only a few grazes to my arm, I am lucky, as only a few inches away coming out of the wall is a long spike which could have caused me serious injury. Also, at this point, our static cam in the main magazine room captures a white mist anomaly as it rises from the ground and goes up into the ceiling. We now go to the main magazine room where we photographed an entity on a previous investigation standing in the corner. We believe this has been brought through by a dark ritual, and where a visitor came face to face with this dark creature type humanoid as reported by the local news.
Right, will you join us in the magazine room? We've got set up on the little mound here. We've got a REM pod, and in the doorway coming into this room, there's two EMF devices, K2 and another one. You might see some flashing whilst I'm talking, because Jeff is taking some full spectrum pictures, just to see if there's anything behind me at any stage. Okay. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Phil. I've come to talk to any spirits which are inside this room. And we've noticed it is actually significantly colder in this room than elsewhere in the tunnels. You can actually see your breath as you breathe, whether it's just the temperature's dropped or not, or whether this room is just colder because it's got thicker walls, who knows. Now, my colleagues have attempted to speak to soldiers, which might be still within this tunnel system. I'd actually like to speak to any engineers that were involved with the construction of this place. I believe you are known as sappers. So what I'd like to ask, could you come and join me, please? And hopefully, tell me your name. I'm hoping you can hear me. Now, sometimes it's difficult for us to hear you, which is why in my hand I have this device. This device will record your voice. It will help us to hear anything you have to say, but you need to speak into it quite closely. There's a little red light on it. Come and talk to me. Talk into this little red light. Now, I've been here before, and I have heard you before, so I know that there is at least one spirit here. How many of you are here? What I'm trying to establish is whether you worked here, whether you were a soldier here, or whether you were an engineer and you either built or maintained this place. Perhaps you were stationed maybe up at Chattendine, which is local to here, and where the engineers were based predominantly. Do you know that place? Maybe, if you're from an earlier period, you'd know Fort Amherst. Is that familiar to you?
Phil,
Yeah,
don't know where you are.
I'm here.
thought I heard our 360 go off, and then there was a bang. Back right down the other end.
I didn't hear that, but you were stood in a different place, so...
I think it was the alarm on the 360, and then there was like a knocking or a banging.
Okay.
Which had been right back down. The 360 monitor that we have set up at the junction, which is monitoring 3 tunnels, goes into alarm as the sound of something or someone walking by. Here is the audio taken from Static Cam 5. So this is the magazine room, and just behind me there is where we captured the picture of a shadowy figure. Sort of more looking like some sort of creature than humanoid. And in front of me there on the floor used to be a big pentagram where the rituals used to take place here, which we believe this figure that we captured had been brought through. And there was a news report that got pulled at the last minute to do with the Grainfall tunnels where we are. And someone was actually here taking pictures, and they come face to face with this creature figure which was standing on this mound where I'm sitting. I've got a couple of EMF devices down in front of me, and there's a REM pod behind me. So if the entity is still here, that was brought through, which we even heard speaking when our friend Martin drew a cross over the pentagram on the floor, and you said, "Cross don't understand." You seemed confused. If you are here, can you do something, please? Can you speak to us, move something, make a noise, or touch one of our devices so we know that you're listening? Was that you, Phil?
No, it wasn't me.
Mark?
Me. That was a very loud growl.
Where are you? Are you behind me? We all hear a growling sound nearby, which is then followed by a demonic voice that says, "Try me." Here is the audio enhanced. Was that you, Phil?
No, it wasn't me.
Mark?
Me. That was a very loud growl.
Was that you, Phil?
No, that wasn't me.
Mark?
That was a very loud growl.
Well, I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable, to be quite honest, Phil. With my back there, because I can't see a bloody thing.
There's a figure standing there now.
What, you can both see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a figure or something stood in that corner now. I can see the top of its head. Looks like it's got its legs partly spread.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Are you sure it's not graffiti on the wall, Mark?
No, because it wasn't there before.
Well, that's why I suddenly... It's moved. It's
Its arm just moved up.
It's moving, Jeff. It just moved.
A figure appears in the corner of the room, and Phil and Mark are both filming and seeing it with their own eyes. I am unable to see anything as I do not have a night vision camera, and all I can see is complete darkness. Is this the dark entity, or is this one of the soldiers? Here is the footage again from all angles, enhanced.
There is a figure or something stood in that corner now. I can see the top of its head. Looks like it's got its legs partly spread.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Are you sure it's not graffiti on the wall, Mark?
No, because it wasn't there before.
Well, that's why I suddenly... It's moved.
Its arm just moved up.
It's moving, Jeff. It just moved.
There is a figure or something stood in that corner now. I can see the top of its head. Looks like it's got its legs partly spread.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Are you sure it's not graffiti on the wall, Mark?
No, because it wasn't there before.
Well, that's why I suddenly... It's moved.
Its arm just moved up.
It's moving, Jeff. It just moved.
Eventually, the figure fades away, so we fire up the FLIR thermal cam and conduct a full sweep of the tunnels. But unfortunately, nothing was detected. No more evidence was captured, and all fell silent within the Grain Fault tunnels.